My friends, I felt like I had to go live with this topic. Just had a great conversation with another local builder, and then wrapped up that conversation and had a conversation with a local credit union and loan officer. And I felt like this knowledge just needed to be shared because I don't go live with market updates that often. And the market update I have to say is really like winter is coming. I know we just left winter, but my thoughts on the market, the seasonality, the trends that we're seeing in the local conferences that I've recently attended is all leading towards a market that acts like winter for the rest of 2024. So I want to explain what that means. One, for your home values. What do listings and buyers look like? What does the general economy look like? What's my take on that? Now these are my opinions. Like, I can't guarantee you that these things are going to happen, but they are my opinions from what I'm seeing happen. And my thoughts on the market. Sorry, I need to update my speed, so I'm deconnecting from Wi-Fi real quick. So my takes on it are: I recently attended RPOA conference. Shout out to Shield Insurance for that invite, so thank you for that. RPOA had a great amount of speakers, but the number one speaker that I was there to attend and see was the economist from Grand Valley, and I really actually liked his take on what he had to say. So he said, regardless of politics, regardless of seasonality, regardless of any of those things, the number one thing that we need to be watching out for the economic forecast, even beyond the election, because elections, generally speaking, don't affect the overall market. What affects the market are consumers. So if you're worried about a recession looming over the market and what tomorrow looks like for your financial portfolio, for your listing, for anything like that, watch the consumer. So what are we watching from consumer stats? Well, it's more expensive, right? Inflation, it's a real thing, but what is inflation actually impacting? The economist was saying that the price of food has actually kept up with the price of inflation on wages. However, the price of dining out has not. That's almost 4 times itself. So if you're dining out more, you're going to feel that inflation more. However, your grocery budget, while increasing, nationally speaking, incomes have risen at the same level of grocery spending. So what else has happened? Well, we came off stimulus from the government over the last 2-4 years, and consumers have finally spent the savings in stimulus that they've had. That's not quite reflected in the market yet, but late last year, consumers are now dipping into their savings, and credit card rates that were paid off, now they're actually at an all-time increasing rapidly in such a way that credit card debt is now at its all-time high as well. So what does that mean? If the consumer stops spending, that's when we will have a recession. So that was my best takeaway from that. But what do we know about Americans? We're resilient, right? We're gonna find a way to make a way to keep our same lifestyle. In addition to keeping our same lifestyle, we'll either fund that with debt or we'll pick up more secondary jobs. Job growth rates have increased, but mostly because they're trying to keep the same lifestyle by working more hours. So that's impacting the family life as well. So taking that consumer approach, now bringing that to the real estate market. We in West Michigan are still seeing year over year increases in appreciation. Interest rates, I'm actually predicting no changes for the rest of the year. We're at a high 6% interest rate, maybe a mid 6% interest rate. Maybe there's a little bit of stimulus that happens through the election, but coming off the State of the Union address, I really don't think that the Fed's going to really make that much of a change. And if they do, the economists with the prime rate with the Fed, they were saying if we hit a recession, sure, we're going to see some maybe 4s and 5% interest rates. But if we don't hit that recession, we're going to probably plateau. Maybe we see a prime rate reduction. Maybe we don't. So if you're a consumer in this market waiting to buy, I would actually advise you not to wait to buy because appreciation is still happening. It's simply supply and demand. We do not have enough listings to still support the amount of buyers that want to go here. Now, that's also coupled with incomes have pretty much plateaued right now. The pricing hasn't plateaued. So the higher brackets that you're actually purchasing in, like if you start hitting the $400, $500, $600, $700,000 brackets for purchasing, there's actually more negotiation power there because most people just can't afford it anymore. So while there might be 10, 15, 20 offers on something priced around $375 in our area because that's the market median, once you get above that market median, right, it's simply the bell curve. You're in that top 50% quartile, the top 25% quartile, fewer and fewer people can afford to purchase at that rate. So you just have more negotiation power at that point. So if you're sitting on equity, you want to move that forward, now's your market. So coupling the economist, we're waiting to see what the consumer does. Local here in the market, still having appreciation, but we have zero, like next to zero listings. There's only about 900 sales per month that happen here in our area. And we still, not that many realtors have stopped being realtors in our areas. We all have a pretty nice forecast of what the future is going to look like. We're banking on a good rate market for getting more listings. And we're just not seeing it. We're just not seeing it. So what does that mean for real estate agents? What does that mean for home buyers and home sellers in this area? And anyone that's in the financial industry? My prediction is you need to act like the rest of this year is a winter season. You're going to have to be overcoming needs and motives, and making sure that you truly understand what your buyer and seller need to make that move happen. And if you don't have that aligned, very few things are going to happen. So act like this season is winter. And if your goal was to do X amount of business by December, I have said to everyone on my team and every industry that I'm working with, insurance agents, mortgage lenders, builders, like whatever activity you were planning to have done by the end of this year, fast forward that amount of activity that you're planning to do in your work actually needs to be done by July 31st. If that means a 200, 300, 400% increase in your output and activities, that's what you're going to need to do to see the actual goal that you want at the end of this year. So all that being said, yeah, I know it sounds silly and it sounds like repetitive. Is it still a good time to buy and sell? Yes, and primarily because supply and demand, consumers have not stopped spending their money. So we're expecting to still see a plateaued, we're still seeing appreciation, but at a decelerating rate. So next year, we're still expecting that we will see appreciation on homes in this area. And my prediction is the interest rate's not going to change. So if you're going to have appreciation on a home with the same interest rate next year, the question for you, when is a better time to buy, right? When is a better time to sell? Well, it would make sense to let that appreciation happen on a bigger asset for you if you're moving into a bigger home, right? 3% appreciation on a $400,000 house is better than 3% appreciation on a $300,000 house. So if your financial advisor has reached out to you about your portfolio, but your realtor has not reached out to you about your home equities growth, that's what we want to do. That's what Blue Beacon agents want to do is, hey, let us run a comparative market analysis on your home. Let's see what the equity is. Let's see what your next best move is in this economic state. Does it make sense to improve your property with a home equity loan and then refinance that into a mortgage? There's a lot of options. You don't have to move, and we would love to be your referral partner on that. So that's my take on the rest of this season and the rest of 24. Make it a good one.